following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Welcome into a Wednesday Hump Day edition of Main Street Sports. Today on the program, our regular Wednesday guest, Heather Williams, WCYB-TV out of Bristol, talking a little NASCAR with us as we are going vroom, vroom, turning left in Vegas, or outside of Nashville, coming up here this weekend. We'll talk about it. She will have plenty to add. And thankfully, this is the week we're talking NASCAR, and it's about our local race, so Mo and I are spared without our partner, Chris Yao. Pete Weber talking a little hockey as the Stanley Cup final underway. I believe game one tonight. Avs taking on the Lightning. So we'll get his insight, and I'm sure there's some off-season Predator news to be had. We got a special guest host, Charles Pulliam, will be joining us momentarily. So a lot to get to. Let's dive right in. There's your Hall of Famer, Mo Patton. And today, Mo, I am a sugar-free ginger ale kid from Tennessee.
From Lawrenceburg.
From Lawrenceburg, yeah.
From the Berg. Yes, sir. Maurice Patton, JP Plant with you here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Glad you're with us for the ride for the next hour and a half. Going to be talking some local sports once our guest host, Charles Pulliam from the Williamson Herald, gets in place. As JP mentioned, we've got Heather Williams, as we always do on Wednesday, talk about NASCAR past and NASCAR future. Of course, with our favorite, with my favorite team, JP, are the Braves your favorite team as well?
Baseball, absolutely.
Do you have I don't know how big a baseball fan you really are.
I'm not as big as I used to be, Mo. Now, growing up, when they were losing, every year, that's when, TBS. I mean, I became a huge fan. And the 90s, of course, I was going through high school and college. And so, I was huge Braves. I have subsided. A lot of my sports fandom has been pushed aside, due to working in the business, in particular with the Bobcats of the NBA. So I've kind of, outside of Vanderbilt and, the Titans, football's so easy to follow as a fan because it's weekly. But everything else, now, when you get the playoffs, I live and breathe on every pitch with the Braves. Same with hockey and the Preds, but it's tough to follow on a day-to-day basis, at least for me.
I will tell you that, and I found that out when I went from covering high schools to covering college, that the closer you get to some of these programs and teams, the tougher it is to be a fan sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
So, but
it is.
but we will definitely be talking about the streaking Braves here in before the end of the day. And as JP mentioned, we've got Pete Weber coming on, talk a little bit about the Lightning and the Avs in game one. And it's Wednesday.
That's right.
You know what that means?
Wild and wacky. Even without Yao.
And wacky.
Without Captain Chaos, we are going to hold the fort down for the wackiness here on this
We're going to do the best we can anyway. So before we get to any of that, though, we want to – our top story, JP, and I don't know if you've had much chance to keep up with this or not. We're going to call it the opening pitch.
Okay.
But it's been all over the social media platforms and the interwebs for the last couple of days. Horns down.
I have not been following this, but seeing it, on our little run of show, it's interesting. Somebody's always watching what you do.
Well, especially when you do it at an NCAA event.
No kidding.
Horns down cost an anthem singer a gig in Omaha. Zach Collier, a 27-year-old teacher in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and you'll appreciate this, a Texas A&M alumnus.
Okay, well, that makes more sense.
it does make a little more sense. It's going to make even more sense here in just a second. Sang the anthem at the Women's College World Series, the WCWS, specifically the game between Texas and Oklahoma State. And
Okay.
at the conclusion of the anthem, gave the horns down. Gave the horns down in a softball game that Texas was participating in, that he was singing the anthem prior to. And seemed surprised because he was lined up to sing the anthem prior to game 9 of what is now the Men's College World Series. Used to be the College World Series, but I guess we need to differentiate. The series in Omaha. He was set to sing it for game 9 of that event. He was. He is no longer. And apparently the NCAA let him know that, that was inappropriate and unsportsmanlike.
Well, and oftentimes, there's this line of fandom and going too far, and the whole PC thing phenomenon. It's one thing to do that if you're at an Oklahoma game or a Texas A&M game and you're playing Texas, but you're there to sing for the home team, But when the NCAA, whether or not he's getting paid, but he was invited by the NCAA, and you're there on behalf of the NCAA at a sanctioned event like that, you gotta you gotta know, you gotta read the room a little bit, Mo.
You
right?
gotta read the room
Read
a
the
little bit.
room.
Not, and I think there's got to be some expectation of neutrality
Yeah.
in the position of anthem singer. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but it's interesting, and his response to this whole thing is interesting. Apparently, the NCAA said that it was that he was taunting the other team. It inappropriately supported one participating team, taunted the other team, and disrupted participating student athletes and coaches.
Oh no.
And he took exception to mocking them. Now, you give the horns down in a game that Texas is participating in, but you weren't mocking them. So I don't know. Two things that I take away from this. His final thought was, if I'm going to do the horns down, I'm going to do the horns down. I don't think anybody's going to stop me from doing it. Well, they may not stop you from doing it, but they may stop where you do it.
That's right.
And he won't be doing it in Omaha. But a bigger concern is this overriding. I don't know how riled up Texas is over this situation, but they're coming to the Southeastern Conference in a couple of years, and horns down may not be the worst thing that they get when they go to Baton Rouge or Gainesville or wherever else. So
they might get an empty Jack Daniels bottle thrown at them in Baton Rouge, or
especially at night.
Yeah, no kidding. That's yeah. Back to the person singing the anthem and his comments. Yeah, of course you can do that if you want. I mean, freedom of speech, and it just means that the government's not going to come arrest you for it.
Yeah, but it doesn't
there
mean
are
that
consequences.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah, and I think Mr. Collier just met one of those consequences.
What would be really fantastic though? This is a Texas A&M fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
fan.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is a couple years down the road, but how poetic would this be? The first time Texas A&M hosts Texas in football,
that he sings the anthem.
This guy sings the national anthem.
I would imagine that there are some folks in College Station kind of filing this away for safekeeping. Yeah,
that's right.
Don't worry about it, dude. We'll get back. We got you.
Yeah,
we got you. You can come to
Kyle.
You can come to Kyle Field and you can throw horns down all you want to, baby.
Oh, yeah. It just means more, Mo. It just means more. Come on.
Without question. And without further ado, JP, I think before we close out this segment, we should probably get yesterday's scores and today's results on the rundown.
Yes, we should. Cue it up, and here we go.
This is the Rundown.
All right, it's a short one, but none of the less a very good one. Baseball yesterday, Major League. They played 2 in Pittsburgh. In St. Louis, I should say. The Cardinals won both of them, 9-1, 3-1, a day-night doubleheader yesterday. The Marlins 11-9 over the Phillies. Mets shutting out the Brewers 4-0. Boy, the Brew Crew just not helping us much.
Not at all.
Not helping us much against the NL East. Come on now. Padres 12-5 winners over the Cubs. The Reds 5-3 over the D-backs. And count it, 13 in a row. The Braves 10-4 over the Nationals. More on that coming up in our daily Brave segment, which is getting better and better by the day. The Sounds fall to Memphis last night in Memphis, 7-3, the final there, game 1 of that 6-game series. West on the river. Schedule for today in progress already. The Marlins and the Phillies have a day game today.
Marlins leading 1-0, bottom of the 7th.
Bottom of the 7th. Wow, they're moving along.
Yeah, exactly. And since I'm not there, I don't have a problem saying they're rolling right along.
Rolling right along. Watch them. They won't finish. We'll finish before they will now.
There we go.
And that's okay. Reds at the D-backs, 2:40 your first pitch today. Tonight, the Braves and the Nationals, 6:05 first pitch on Bally. Spencer Strider for the Braves against Eric Fetty for the Nationals. All right, so Brewers at the Mets tonight, 6:10, 6:45. Pirates at the Cardinals, and at 7:05 in the Windy City, Chicago hosts the Padres. Again, the Sounds still in Memphis, 7:05 first pitch from AutoZone Park. Stanley Cup Final, Game 1 tonight. Lightning, Avalanche in Colorado. ABC, how about ABC picking up hockey, and they get not only the NBA Finals, which they've had, but they get the Stanley Cup Final as well. Getting it done.
That's solid. That's
done.
a nice get.
That's a very nice get. We'll talk about that coming up with Pete Weber, voice of the Nashville Predators, at around 3 o'clock today, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, that is your rundown.
The rundown on Wednesday, presented by Your Business Here.
Insert your business. That's right.
Again,
It's available.
Hit us up at ms_sports today on Twitter, or heck, you can find us. If you want to find us, you can find us. So
you know, Mo, we might have to start a new game. I know Chris had done this from time to time, and mostly off the air. But this week, I don't know why I've been paying attention, but your Google animal on Docs, you know what it is today?
Wow, I have no idea.
It's a chinchilla.
And what's the word? There's something else in chinchilla. What?
I don't know. It's anonymous chinchilla.
Anonymous chinchilla. That's
Anonymous
it. Yeah, it's
chinchilla.
anonymous something. Is
it always anonymous?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're some anonymous chinchilla today.
That's funny.
Take that as you wish.
Funny. Yeah. We may have to start identifying what I am on that on that Word doc there. Yeah.
Yep.
Anonymous Chinchilla and JP Plant with you here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. When we come back, Heather Williams of WCYB-TV in the Tri-Cities, talking a little NASCAR. Stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injury. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today on this Wednesday. JP, the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, hanging out with you. We'll be joined soon by our special guest host, Charles Pulliam. I think it's deadline day, and he's looking for a specific thing, too, to be able to join us. But we'll get Charles in because we got some local sports to talk about, but plenty to get into. Don't forget, Pete Weber coming up around 3 o'clock today, talk a little Stanley Cup final. But it's a Wednesday staple. The sun rises and sets, and Mo, one of our favorites, Heather Williams, joins us on Wednesday.
So glad to have Heather on with us here this afternoon, as per usual. Good Wednesday, Heather.
Good Wednesday to you, Mo. This is your chance to ask any NASCAR question you've ever had.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. You know, big weekend coming up, but a big weekend that we just cleared. Heather, we talked a little bit about it actually on the Monday show without Chris Yao. Actually, Chris vacationing. Wow. Yeah, much needed.
Heather, he led off a Monday. Okay, we're getting started. And he leads off top story. It's the Toyota Save Mart 350. We're talking NASCAR out of the gate without Yao. How about that?
Nice. We got a convert in the making.
No.
Well, I mean, it's fast cars. You know, it's tough not to like. You know, but seriously, I felt like the Daniel Suarez win was a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal. It's a big deal for the sport because we're trying to grow the sport and invite more people in. And the more people that look like the fan base that can win, the more that, you know, it attracts new fans. And so I think that it's super excited that Suarez got the win.
Yeah, I have to be honest again, after Ross Chastain got a couple of wins earlier in the year, we're taking some credit for Trackhouse Racing's success to this point in the season, but Norris on earlier in the year. So we're feeling like we may be rubbed off. We're feeling like we rubbed off a little bit on Trackhouse. They've got 3 wins. Suarez becoming the latest winning out at Sonoma. But again, as you mentioned, just a little more diversity in a sport that has not always been the case for. Suarez, the first Mexican-born driver to win a NASCAR Cup event, and I felt like that was big, and it's nice that you agree with me.
Yeah, I agree, and you know, Suarez is also a really popular figure in the garage area, so the win was popular among the driver is also important for the sport. So
big win there. He's got a little momentum, I guess, coming into our area. The Ally 4.
Yeah, it's Nashville.
Yeah, the Ally 400 this weekend out at Nashville, at Gladeville more specifically, but yeah, I know everybody around here is really excited about that one coming into town.
Well, it's a big deal. Nashville is one of those uh, markets that NASCAR really wants to grow. I mean, obviously, there's huge support in the area for racing and a lot of race fans. And so the success of this race specifically is huge for the racing community because this is a targeted market. This is someplace that they want to get into, and they want to service their fans in Tennessee. This state, particularly, especially from Nashville East, has some of the highest ratings for NASCAR races every week. So this is a big deal that we're back at Nashville, with the potential of maybe going back to the fairgrounds one day too. This market is really important to the sport.
Now, this is actually on the 24th. Is that the next date for NASCAR? Is there nothing this coming weekend?
Yeah, this is actually the only off weekend of the season, which is unusual to not have very many off weekends. But there is actually an off weekend this weekend. It's the only one. So drivers will be getting in their summer vacations and getting a little R&R this week before they go for the grind of the rest of the season.
Now, what does the rest of that schedule that weekend look like, Heather? I mean, the Cup races on the 26th, which is a Sunday. I'm sure there's some other stuff coming up in addition to the Cup race.
Yeah, there's an Xfinity series. I mean, there's a Truck Series race on Friday and an Xfinity Series race on Saturday. The two lower series, kind of like your AAA and AA baseball, and then the Cup race will be the main event on Sunday.
Okay, all right. As mentioned, Ross Chastain is entered in that race. I'm trying to look through the list of entries. There's Daniel Suarez. He's in it as well. I guess they're listed by car number?
Numbers usually. Yeah, usually
Okay.
by car numbers.
Okay, so that's why
It's
Ross
my
Chastain.
understanding that Cookies is going to have a huge party in the infield too,
Okay.
and a concert. So
Well,
that'll be fun.
we should be invited.
Nashville flair. I mean, I think if you have an infield pass, you can go. You can go. So
We,
at the
we,
concert, you'll be able to hear from everywhere. So
we might have to check on that. The Ally 400 Sunday, Nashville Super Speedway, 4 o'clock. The flag drops. It'll be aired on both NBC and on MRN, and we're chatting about it with Heather Williams from WCYB-TV in Bristol. Heather, going back to Sonoma, how did that go relative to what you had anticipated?
actually, I expected it to be a little bit better of a race. I expected the how do I want to say this? The next gen car to be more competitive on the road courses because the races earlier this year at Austin at Circuit of Americas was such a good race, but it was kind of a boring race. Other than waiting to see if Suarez could hang on and get his first win, it wasn't as good a race as I expected from that. So I think that there's still some work that needs to be done as far as getting this next gen car, good for all different types of makes and tracks.
While the racing might not have been quite as sharp as you would have expected, the parity has continued. Suarez was the 12th different winner this season and 4th first-time winner. So, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it actually goes beyond just the winner. The top 3 drivers are not drivers that you would normally see in the top 3 because second place was Chris Buescher and third place was Michael McDowell. Both those guys only have one career win in the Cup Series. So, yeah, it is good to see that different people are mixing it up and getting into the top 5.
Heather Williams, our guest here on with WCYB-TV on Main Street Sports today. Heather, I'm curious, coming into Nashville next weekend and with these next-gen cars, this track in particular, is there anything out there that you've seen or testing or racing on a similar style track that gives an advantage to anybody coming into this race?
Well, I will say that Nashville is kind of a unique track because
Mhm.
of the surface. It's concrete, where most of these racetracks are asphalt. So you kind of have to look at maybe a Dover, well, we haven't raced these cars on the Bristol concrete, so maybe like a Dover. Although the configurations of the tracks are so different, maybe a Phoenix. Even though it's an asphalt track, it's really going to be a little more unique than any of the tracks that we've run so far this year. So it will be a little bit of a test for the next gen car, but their sister track in Dover is probably the closest as far as configurations. And I think they've done some testing there. They haven't raced there yet. Oh yeah, they did race earlier this year. I keep thinking the schedule's changed and my mind's all mixed up because I used to race there later in the summer. Chase Elliott won that race when they were there earlier this year.
Now, is this the second year back to the Super Speedway? Is that right?
Yes, this is the second year back after being gone for many years.
Yeah, so the second stint, I mean, there's only one to really compare it to, but how has this second time around been different from the first stint in Nashville?
Well, I really thought that the racing was much better than when we went back there in the mid-2000s. I thought the racing last year was actually really entertaining. When I used to be out there covering the races in the mid-2000s, when I covered stuff in Nashville a lot more when I was working in Nashville, the races were actually kind of boring, in my opinion. But last year's race was really entertaining, and so I'm hoping that the next-gen car will kind of carry that with them.
Heather Williams, our NASCAR analyst here on Main Street Sports Today from WCYB-TV in Bristol. Heather, Chris will be back next week, so you'll actually probably get some really intelligent NASCAR questions and some great NASCAR insight as we get ready for the Ally 400.
Heather, I did watch some of the race on Sunday. I'm always fascinated by the road course races.
They're fun to watch those cars bouncing up on the curbs and stuff.
It's something different. And you know, the cars look good. I like the look of the new cars, personally. I think they look good.
Oh yeah, the cars look great.
Sharp.
They look like the actual they look like the actual cars for sure.
There you go, Mo.
There we go. Yeah. Heather, thanks for indulging us this week. We will catch up with you next Wednesday. Hopefully. That'll be the plan anyway. So
sounds good, guys.
All righty. When we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, we'll be joined by special guest host Charles Pulliam of the Williamson Herald. We're going to talk a little Wilco. They got some stuff going on, even here in the summer. As always. Yeah. So stay tuned here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today on this Wednesday, Hump Day. Just heard from Heather Williams, talking a little NASCAR. Got Pete Weber coming up, but we are joined now by our special guest host, no stranger to these parts, Charles Pulliam, along with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton. Mo, he is in the building.
So glad to have him, and I'm really digging that backdrop there. He kind of took a page out of Teresa Walker's decor with all of the passes from all the different events that he has covered, and going to get into that a little bit more here at halftime. But for right now, Charles Pulliam of the Williamson Herald joining us on Main Street Sports today, and it's pretty fitting, I guess, because there's been a little going on in Williamson County high school sports over the last few days, I guess. Comings and goings, particularly on the mats, I guess.
Yep. And that's, I mean, like you said, it's kind of nonstop, guys. We all know it. I was just kind of putting our paper away. So the new edition of the Williamson Herald comes out tomorrow. And one of the stories will include Coach Tucker Cathley taking over there at Franklin High on the wrestling program. A 2008 graduate. He was actually part of that 2005 state duals championship team for Franklin. That's the first and only for that program. But him and Andrew Tomlinson really kind of helped lead that resurgence there at Franklin over these last couple of years. I think they had about 9 or 10 different state qualifiers. Just kind of neat to see that program continue to build. And now for Tucker, it's they're handing the reins off. So it'll be kind of cool to see him. He was involved with, you think of all the different sports. He's on the sidelines of football games as an assistant there, runs the unified track and field program there, was the head coach for girls wrestling. And of course, you know, it's in the family there. So that was always kind of unique. The story I wrote was actually kind of added his mom in there, Angie, a little bit, because she's actually entering her 39th year teaching at Franklin. So they know the building well.
Yeah, even with all the additions. And obviously Tucker taking the head coaching role from Andrew Tomlinson, who stepped down recently to go back to Nolensville.
Well, that's a good family move, really. You talk to Coach T, and you know, the beauty of where he lives there in that Nolensville community, you could see the school from their house. So he'll be able to walk to work, and it's also where his kids go to school. I know he's really excited about his young son coming in there. I think he's going into his 8th grade year, but he was a wrestler as well, so he'll get to coach his son there at Nolensville. And you know, he made a good group of friends there, and I think that was the big reasoning. It's a big family move there, and we'll still get to see him and bug him, that's for sure.
Oh, no
Nolensville's
question.
not too far.
Well, I think he's probably got a big weekend planned.
Oh yeah, right.
I think we may have had a little hiccup with Mo's. There we go. He's back.
There he is.
You're back, Mo.
Yeah, I'm back.
Little freeze frame for Mo.
Yeah, I was just saying, Coach Tomlinson, an Auburn grad, probably pretty excited about the upcoming College World Series with his Tigers getting out there. So
yeah, I think I had to snooze him on my Facebook feed because he's a little too excited.
You're not a baseball fan, Charles?
Well, just for some schools, let's put it that way.
Got you. The artificial turf going on across Williamson County, Independence and Summit finally getting theirs. Last to the party, I guess, but better late than never. Have you had a chance to check in with those folks about what's going on over there?
Well, I saw some of the updates there. I think it was just a couple days ago. Independence Twitter kind of tweeted out that photo of just a giant mound of gravel and dirt. It's like, well, doesn't quite look like what you want now, but yeah, it's kind of exciting knowing all the Williamson County schools will have that. I still think of last year with Fairview getting in there. Coach Chris Hughes always talked, and he's still going to brag about how they weren't last to it. So another win for Coach Hughes there for sure. But it's going to make it a lot easier when we got those rainy nights out there. No more muddy sidelines or anything. I know. I actually was able to go to lunch with Coach Blade here recently, former Independence coach, and he always talked about how he's just one of those diehard guys where he always wanted grass. That's just something about it. It changes the game. I think of guys like Donnie Webb, some of our veterans in the area talk about grass over turf. And I guess maybe Coach Blade got out in time then.
Yeah. When you think old school, Scott, his offense notwithstanding, he's definitely an old school type of guy. So it'll be
wait for it. It'll come back.
Yep.
Everybody in Williamson County's got it now. So
yeah, I know it's fascinating to see. That's the county's just one of a kind. Just last night we were hanging out at our John Mayer Builders Scholar Athlete Banquet, and always a unique community event there. John Mayer Builders in Spring Hill, just one of the best supporters in the county for all athletics and beyond. And the growth, the support, you name it. It's a special spot to work and be a part of. That's for sure.
He's really done a great job, like you said, supporting athletics in this area for quite some time. Former coach himself and former athlete as well. And I'm sure it's near and dear to him. So it's always a great event. And I saw that was going on last night. So I guess you were all suited and booted for that one, huh?
Well, that's the thing. Joe Williams, my partner in crime's he's run it a long time. And last year when we were handing out the awards, actually, we were supposed to tag team. Like, okay, we'll go up. You say, the females, I'll say the males, and we'll host it out. And then right at the last minute, he's like, why don't you just do it? And he stepped back. So I was thrust onto the stage. And now, unfortunately, too, it just unfortunate for everyone in attendance. Even Mike Keith. So Mike Keith's our guest speaker, and I think he's only missed one of the 16 banquets, which is pretty special. Wow. But, a BGA alum through and through, another great supporter for local athletics in Williamson County. But there was a lot of talk of me, which I didn't really appreciate. So everyone was calling it the Charles Pulliam Appreciation Night. And it's like, okay, well, hold on now. It's about the kids. So we pulled it back, but everybody had to endure me talking for a while and then having other people talk about me. So I'm not really a big fan of that.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. The
Sounded
difference
like
is
it was a borderline roast.
The difference is
exactly.
you deserve it.
Oh, come now. Oh, man. Yeah, it really was. And that's when Mike Keith was introduced, he just came up and was like, well, I'm glad I could be here for the Charles Pulliam Appreciation Night.
Yeah.
Like,
It's fun to hear people talk
Thanks.
about, what you mean to athletics in Williamson County. And I get a kick out of seeing the reception that you get when you go into different gyms and that kind of thing. So that's fun. That's fun.
Well, inspired by the Hall of Famer here, man. I think about when I came through, I was just the Alaskan guy moving to Tennessee back in 2011. I think the first time I saw you probably was at a baseball game. I think it was at Overton, actually. But you were writing at the game, and I still think of you handwriting your notes, and I was just like, man, I can't compete with this. And then you knew everybody.
How does he do that, right? and all those pins.
Exactly. But knowing everybody, that was the one that got me. Going in brand new and fresh was super intimidating because he's high-fiving and talking to parents and athletic directors and principals and you name it. I think I could do a little bit of that now in certain spots. Yeah.
The man about town.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and now he's that guy.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Like I said, in certain spots.
That's awesome. Charles Pulliam, our special guest host here on Main Street Sports today, as we battle through without our comrade Chris Yao, who is on some beach I guess.
Some beach somewhere.
Yeah. Have you checked in with him here in the last bit?
I saw a photo from earlier today. He is, in fact, on a beach somewhere. So he's doing it right.
Well, he's in a better situation.
Yeah,
he's in a better situation than we are.
That's right.
But yeah, Charles is going to be with us here when we come back for halftime, and I'm interested in how Charles spent his weekend.
There we go.
Speaking of some beach, right?
The city famous for its music is quiet now, but it's about to be overwhelmed by the symphony of speed. Nashville Superspeedway will be rocking from the pit to the grandstand. June 24th through 26th, the Ally 400 NASCAR Cup Series race weekend brings a mix of incredible racing and live entertainment. Tickets are going fast, so visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com today and join the full throttle fun.
All right, it is halftime here on Main Street Sports today. JP, the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, Charles Pulliam with us. Pete Weber coming up in just a little bit, but Mo has a little halftime question, I believe.
I do, because I was following Charles, as I always do, on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. Twitter at
CS Pulliam.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Over the last few days, he was posting some pictures from CMA Fest. This guy doesn't just do sports, y'all. How did you manage that, first of all?
Well, I've actually been able to photograph a couple of those. I think I worked for Getty initially, got hired out to freelance for them for a little bit, but then through the Williamson Herald, I always want to find a way into big events like that, and yeah, got another one in. Every now and then I could squeeze into some fun ones like that. So,
was it fun? Is it fun? I mean, because
it's really not that bad, especially being up front there. Say a Carrie Underwood or so. I could watch Carrie Underwood perform oftentimes. My wife actually doesn't mind either. But
that's a plus.
To be right up front taking some fun photos in the photo corral, you actually recycle your way through, so you're out and about, and then you get to go in and shoot photos up front below the stage for about 2 minutes. So you're herded around like cattle, but you make it work, and it is a lot of fun. And I get an extra ticket when I get to go, so
There you go.
usually a special friend comes along too.
So Charles, were you in the stadium? For
Yeah,
the
in Nissan Stadium.
events?
Yeah, so I missed the opening night, but I was there for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah,
There you go.
not
There's
too
worse
bad.
ways.
Not too bad.
I guess there's worse ways to spend the weekend.
Yeah, and that's you think of my wall here. I got various stuff going on, but on the other side, it's still kind of blank. The long-term project is actually having 8x10 photos of stars that I've been able to shoot at CMA Fest and beyond, and Pilgrimage Music Festival coming up in September, places like that. So we'll see. I'll get some nice images up there.
This guy's always got a plan. Charles Pulliam of the Williamson Herald, our special guest host here on Main Street Sports today, presented Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. When we come back, the moment we've all been waiting for, number 13 for the Braves last night. We're going to talk about it. Stay with us.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
All right, it's second half here on Main Street Sports Today. Coming up, we'll be joined by Pete Weber in about 13 minutes from now. Talk a little Stanley Cup Final Game 1 tonight between the Avs and the Lightning, and I'm sure some all-season Predators discussion. Also, we've got our Daily Braves segment 13, the Baker's Dozen. We'll talk about it. And it is Wild and Wacky Wednesday. We're going to hold the fort down for Captain Chaos. JP Plant here alongside, as always, the Hall of Famer Mo Patton and our special guest host, Charles Pulliam for the Williamson Herald. Welcome in. Happy second half. Happy Hump Day Wednesday, fellas.
Absolutely. We're halfway home.
Already.
Yeah, halfway home here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, and we've waited long enough. You know, Monday night was a tough night, even as the Braves won their opener in Washington 9-5, because second baseman Ozzie Albies went down with a fractured left foot, is on the 60-day DL. So kind of wondered how that was going to affect them. Well, they stuck Orlando Arcia in and kept rolling. He got into the home run parade, and the Braves won number 13, 10-4 at Washington last night. Again, another 5 home runs. 2 games, they've hit 10 home runs in Washington. They may not want to leave, but they've now won 13 straight games, which matches the 13 straight that they opened the season winning my senior year in high school back in 82. Oh, wow. I'm old. But
wait, how old?
Exactly. Just keep
Was
going.
That an 8 in front of that? Oh,
just keep going. Just let it go. Yeah. But significant here, this 13 straight wins by this Braves team is the most by a defending World Series champion in the expansion era of Major League Baseball, which is defined as 1961 forward. The 1954 Yankees won 13 straight, coming off their 53 World Series championship as well. So the Braves getting into some pretty rare air with this run right here. A win tonight would equal the 2013 Braves team for the second longest streak in franchise history, in modern day franchise history. The Braves won 15 in a row in 2000. So, I mean, it's fun to see after they kind of treaded water for as long as they did. And, you know it's gonna end at some point, but we're going to enjoy it here, and hopefully it doesn't end tonight, because, you get kind of greedy after a while.
Mo, aren't you happy that I helped keep you and Chris off that ledge from just completely walking off at the first of the season? More Chris than you, but you had
more Chris than me, because Chris kind of experiences the peaks and the valleys a little bit more. I just felt I was more disappointed than anything early on, just because I felt like they were better than they were playing. And that's certainly kind of been borne out here over this run right here. And like I said, they're going to lose at some point, and it's going to be disappointing when they do. But still, they have certainly, I think, made the Mets aware of their presence. They've cut a substantial deficit down to 5 games. We can't get any help from the Brewers, as we mentioned earlier. But I think being down 5 in the NL East standings right now after where they were is not a bad place to be. And you got to remember, we still got some reinforcements coming. Mike Soroka is going to throw at some point. Eddie Rosario is going to hit at some point. Also, Kirby Yates is a guy that they signed over the offseason, a reliever who's going to really boost that bullpen as well when he gets back. So, and Ozzy's going to be back. So, it's still going to be a fun year, I think. And this past couple of weeks has certainly been that. And they've got a chance to get number 14 tonight as they finish up a 3-game series up in DC. Spencer Strider going to the mound, and a guy that Braves radio announcer Joe Simpson has confidence in for the Braves, Eric Fetty, starting for the Nationals. And so he, as he always says, we're going to score some runs against this guy. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I got one for you, Mo. When you talk about, how great these last 13 have been and how great June's been overall, isn't the next 20-some games against some pretty talented teams? Everybody's just about over 500 there, I think, right?
It's it could definitely but this is why you have to make hay while the sun shines, because
the test is coming here, I think. But enjoy it for sure. And it is a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. And you've got San Francisco and LA coming in pretty soon here. You go to St. Louis here pretty soon. So that's why it's important to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. And that's certainly what they've done here over this stretch. So,
They do it soundly. Haven't they scored, outscored everybody by 50-plus runs here?
They have. They're averaging 7+ runs a game over this streak. And again, they've hit as if you're watching us, you can see on the scroll here, JP has thrown my notes up here, but they have hit 32 home runs on this streak. 32 home runs in 13 games. They've given up 39 runs.
Yeah, jeez.
And
that's the number that boosted them all the way, I think, to second in the league, right?
That sounds about right.
In terms of home runs, I think only the Yankees are ahead in there.
Well, and the Yankees are they're in another stratosphere right now. So that team is. We're not going to talk about the Yankees.
Not till we have to.
Exactly.
That's well said. Yeah.
Well, Mo, I've got a question here. Then the big brave elephant in the room. Then here is this a better team than last year?
I don't know. As we sit here on June 15th, that you can answer that.
Are they better than they were June 15th last year?
Yes. That you can answer.
I'll take it.
That right? You can answer. I think that's a great question, though. I think, but last year we didn't have our best team until August, I don't think, because Anthopoulos hadn't worked his magic to that point. Again, the guys that he got at the trade deadline, Rosario, Soler, Jock Peterson, they weren't there at this time last year. And this team was kind of, like I said, treading water, kind of like this year's team had been for the first portion of the season. But yeah, I think this team right now is better than that 2021 team was to this point. And again, that goes back to the disappointment I had with this team earlier, because you felt like they were certainly as good and probably better, but they weren't performing to that level. So, we'll see what happens now that they have, again, gotten into the rearview mirror of the New York Mets. And it'll be interesting to see if they can reel those guys in, but they're certainly in play for a wild card spot. And once you get into the postseason, anything can happen.
So true.
That is very true. No question about it.
All right. JP, what do you think? Should we go to a break?
Day? Yeah, we'll hit this day in Braves history.
Oh, I almost forgot.
That's all right. I hadn't started the music on you yet, so.
Well, there we go. Start the music.
Start the music. We'll fire it up. Here you go.
There we go. June 15th, 1973, former Atlanta Braves outfielder Tommy Aaron was named to replace Clint Courtney as manager of the franchise's Class AA affiliate in Savannah, Georgia, becoming the first African-American manager of a team located in the Deep South. playing their home games at Grayson Stadium, now home of the Savannah Bananas. I know you guys have heard of them. The Savannah Braves became the first AA team in minor league baseball to employ a black manager. So that took place on this day in 1973.
Big day. Yeah, those Savannah Bananas are, that's a different world of baseball down there.
It really is. I mean, they've been featured on 60 Minutes, I think, and a bunch of other, mainstream journalism type places. So pretty fun stuff they've got going on at Grayson now. So that's going to do it for this segment of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. When we come back, the voice of the Predators, Pete Weber, will be dropping some Stanley Cup final knowledge on us as the Lightning visit Denver to take on the Avalanche. Two singular teams, Lightning and Avalanche, one of each. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. Stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. That was just a top of the hour ding. Just to remind folks, it's 3 o'clock p.m. Central, and all's well, because we've got the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, our special guest host Charles Pulliam. I'm JP Plant, punching some buttons. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But coming up, we got Wild and Wacky Wednesday to finish off the show, so it should be a good time. But we still got hockey, Mo. There's still hockey to be played. We talked about this earlier this week, that it's rare to have hockey end after basketball, but with that COVID delay they had in the middle of the season, they pushed it. So they get the stage to themselves essentially once they get game one in, possibly.
Yeah. So as Chance the Rapper so famously said on Saturday Night Live, let's do that hockey. Pete Weber, the voice of the Predators, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today as we get ready for game one of the Stanley Cup final. Singular, one final.
Yes.
Tampa Bay at Colorado. Pete, we've not talked a whole lot of hockey on this show since the Predators' untimely demise. But what are your thoughts as this one sets up?
I got to tell you, and thank you for having me on. I think that the big thing with this one is it might be the most fun final matchup the National Hockey League has had in quite some time. Trying to go back through my memory bank to see when something might have approached this. And there's not an easy answer for me there. And by the way, might I add, and I know we've talked some baseball here, but on this date, June 15th, 1964, I was ready to throw a huge party. Why? Because we traded Ernie Broglio to the Chicago Cubs for some guy named Lou Brock, and he kind of did all right for the Cardinals thereafter. Okay. That's my parenthetical thing about on this date in sports history.
It's funny, Pete, as I was doing my research for this day in Braves history, I came across that trade, and
yeah.
I'm sure that Cubs fans rue this day every year.
Well, especially where I grew up in Illinois, it's a cross section of Cardinals and Cubs fans, and I would never bring this trade up to a Cubs fan. Never.
I
would
never.
hate to give them any cause for discomfort.
You're just too good a person. You're looking out for them like that. Right?
No, I'm not. I'm not too good a person. I enjoy rubbing it in whenever I get the chance.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, to tag along this day in history, and as Andy Savoy says in Bull Durham, trades are a part of baseball. Bull Durham on this date, 1988, was released in theaters.
Yes, and I was in the theater in North Park in Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
And enjoyed every bit of it. And then a couple of weeks later, we saw Max Patkin as he was out doing his thing in AAA ball. And he came up with a headline I'll never forget. He came up to me on the air. We were in Omaha, I think. And he goes, "Pete, I got to tell you this. Susan Sarandon is really built." That was a shocker, an absolute shocker to me.
Pete, you did a lot of minor league baseball, obviously. Yeah, I did some. The Max Patkins, the Myra Noodlemans, those guys are the chicken. Is anybody doing that type thing anymore?
Well, the chicken is a little bit. Myron Noodleman, boy, when did I last see him? I think at Old Busch Stadium, Indianapolis, probably in the late 80s. It's the last time I saw him. And then I found out later that Myron Noodleman is from my hometown of Galesburg, Illinois, which caused me no end of angst.
That's pretty amazing. Pete Weber and Myron Noodleman, both from Galesburg. Is there a sign coming in or out of town?
Going out of town, it says, "Myron Noodleman was born here. We did not raise him." Yeah, that's pretty much the signage for that.
Pete Weber, the voice of the Predators, with us here on Main Street Sports today. You were saying that this Lightning Avs matchup is kind of unmatched. How so?
The entertainment aspect and the prospects for that. Going back to the mid-90s, when, again, to borrow from baseball, hockey took on the dead puck era, as baseball did for a while there until we had steroids going wild. That really shut things down offensively. Now, and this really goes back to our lockout that cost us the 04-05 season. They've opened things up to the point, and there are the talented players that come in and make it almost impossible to try to track who is going to do what when. But I'll tell you this much. If you are just an uninterested, basically observer of Game 1 tonight, watch closely number 29 for the Avalanche, and watch very closely number 91 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then let's see who's going to be what in goal this evening. Andrei Vasilevsky has been absolutely unbeatable in the big games over the course of the last 4 years. And if he is that, and the Avs still have some injury problems in goal themselves, I'd say that makes it in favor of the 2-time defending champs, perhaps to be the 3-time defending champs. However, after I saw what Colorado did to the Predators, what Colorado did to the St. Louis Blues, and then what they did to the Edmonton Oilers, I'm not going to sell them lightly at all. This could be one hell of a series.
Wow. Well, if Pete Weber said it could be one hell of a series, you can probably I like Pete Weber's chances of being right a lot better than I do a George Plaster book it. That's for sure. So looking that this makes me look even more forward to this Stanley Cup final series. Pete Weber, the voice of the Predators, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Speaking of the Predators, Pete.
Yes.
Oh,
he froze up again. He'll come back.
It's hockey and it's cold, like they said on Saturday Night Live. It's cold here.
All this
cold here
froze Mo up.
Now he's fine.
Yeah, now I'm fine. What's going on with the Preds? Anything? Nothing?
Well, they made a signing, not the one everybody's been waiting for.
Yeah,
and still could happen. But they signed Jeremy Lauzon, who was, I think, a pretty big pickup for the team this year in a trade from the Seattle Kraken. We had known him better from his time with the Boston Bruins.
I guess he was released from the Kraken, right?
In a way, exactly. Boy, the Kraken, not exactly the great inauguration season that the team had in Las Vegas 5 years ago. But don't you love when you read online comments, especially on Twitter, long-suffering Vegas Golden Knights fan?
Wow.
Let's start talking about those Chicago Flubs. Huh? Let's talk about them.
How dare we not make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Charles,
We're
anything?
still waiting Philip Forsberg.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's 50-50. But we've got to wait when it gets closer. I don't think there's a money problem here right now. When you think that last year he took $6 million under the salary cap, so an increase of 2 or 3, something like that, I guess the question would come down to, is there a no movement clause, which David Poyle has been loath to provide the last several years? And that really ties you up, as a matter of fact. And Philip Forsberg, did I tell you the story of when in January the regular routine COVID testing was going on, and I got tested positive the last day of a road trip into Arizona? I'm going, oh my God, I'm going to have to rent a car tonight and start a 24-hour drive back to Nashville. Guess what? Philip tested positively too, and they sent a jet out to pick us up and bring us back home. And it was because of Philip, boys and girls.
So they sent a jet for you and Philip, right? That's the way you tell that.
In that order too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Got to take care of the voice.
That's right.
And the crazy thing was, it was at that time when Omicron was really, I guess, in its last gasps. Both of us had nothing worse than sniffly noses. Philip gets on the plane and he goes, I could have played last night. You could have called the game. I go, yeah, what's wrong with this? Let's just relax and have a nice, smooth flight. 2.5 hours later, we were home.
Oh, wow. Wow. Pete Weber, the voice of the Nashville Predators, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Pete, besides the Stanley Cup final, besides the Predators figuring out.
Nope.
It's all that heat, electricity. It's hitting Franklin right now. You back, Mo? There we go.
Yeah. Maybe it's a brownout. I don't know. Catch us.
It's right at the questions. It's always fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Let's try to get third time. Here we go, Mo.
It's uncanny. It really is. What else NHL wise do we need to know about, Pete?
Well, today it wasn't confirmed yet by the Flyers, but they have hired my old Buffalo buddy, John Tortorella, as their next head coach. So we'll see what happens there. I've already gotten some messages from others wondering how many Flyers players' agents have contacted General Manager Chuck Fletcher to say, can you get me out of here? Torts is a great coach, but he is a demanding coach. And that's the sort of ship he's going to run. And maybe Philadelphia has been a bit of a country club the last few years, but Tortorella will shape him up very, very quickly. I mean, what he did in Columbus, I thought was incredible. Plus, he's won a Stanley Cup with Tampa Bay, the first Sun Belt Cup in 2004.
Pete, I got one for you here. Thinking of, we're about a month into Forsberg watch here, but thinking of moving on without, say he doesn't sign. What are some of your thoughts and options for the plans that David's kind of thinking for the Preds if we don't get to see Forsberg back in a Preds jersey here?
Well, David hasn't called me to share any thoughts recently, but I can say that you take a look at the restricted free agents who are out there and thus open to offer sheets, and then the regular free agents. But one guy who has done very well since leaving here with Minnesota, and I don't know if Minnesota, as tight as they are against the cap, particularly since they have to continue paying off Ryan Suter and going ahead with that way. But I'm thinking Kevin Fiala, who's been a very good goal scorer. He was pretty good here. And boy, that was when the team went to the final in 2017 and he broke his femur in the St. Louis series. That slowed down the team quite a bit. Maybe not as much as the Ryan Johansson compartmental syndrome injury in his leg that cropped up right after a game at Bridgestone. But he's the sort of player who really could provide a spark. Now, will the timing work out for that? If Philip decides he's not going to re-sign, will he make his decision known quickly enough so that you can then make that sort of arrangement?
Yeah, we hope so. Pete Weber, our guest here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. And Pete, obviously, kind of circling back, game one tonight. It's on ABC. Obviously, the new contract for the NHL. How would you assess kind of this new television deal with ABC, kind of heading things up? Is hockey in better hands moving forward with this TV deal?
I think they are. Yeah, I do. But I like both partners. I like TNT and I like ABC, ESPN. I think the studio shows, and now, just so everybody knows, TNT is out of it. They will get the final next year.
Okay.
But I think that the studio shows were absolutely incredible, including when you have the great one sitting down at the edge of the table, just waiting to kick in with a few little hints and tips here. That's kind of interesting for me.
So this will be an altering final hosting in terms of broadcasting this year, ABC, next year TNT, and then back and forth.
Yeah.
For the duration of this. So it's a dual contract.
Right. That's the way it's set up.
Okay. I have a problem with that. I like that. I've been impressed with TNT, of course, the way they've done the NBA and and partnering with CBS and Turner, of course, for March Madness. So they do a job. And you're right, their studio shows are incredible. Who's going to be on the call tonight for ABC? Who's their lead?
It'll be Sean McDonough.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Sean and I used to work in the International League together. I was with the Rochester Red Wings. He was with the Syracuse Chiefs. And those teams were both out of it by July. So we decided, why do two separate broadcasts? Let's just take a couple of pieces of microphone cable and tie our mixers together and do a co-broadcast. Worked out great.
There you go. Before we get you out, Pete, you had mentioned that you can't go away necessarily from Colorado with what they've seen. Do you have a thought on this series? You leaning one way or the other?
I'm leaning toward Tampa because they've done it. But should Vasilevsky get hurt, that changes things entirely.
All this rest for Colorado, how do they approach that?
I think they do this, get up in the morning, and then put their skates on and go out. And as Alex McGildy once said to us in Buffalo one night, we asked him, how the year he scored 76 goals.
Yeah.
In January, he broke through it for 30. And we go, how do you account for this? And he goes, you're young, you go out, you skate hard, you're like chicken without head. And I think I've got that on tape if you guys should want that.
Love it. On that note, Pete Weber, voice of the Nashville Predators. You get some time off, Pete? Are you going to be able to rest up a little bit?
Yes, sir.
Good. Well deserved. Well,
Yes.
we look forward to speaking with you soon, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the hockey. Thanks as always, Pete. It's always a pleasure having you on.
Thank you for inviting me. And Charles, you're a delight in the studio here today. So glad to have the chance to chat with you as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good to see you.
All right. Pete Weber there, voice of the Nashville Predators. When we come back, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Almost feels like Pete would have fit in with Wild and Wacky.
I know, could have kept him on.
Yeah, with some of the stories. We'll have fun with that coming up, so stay with us here. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. JP Plant alongside the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, Charles Pulliam, the Williamson Herald, our special guest host. Today we got Wild and Wacky, and it's we've got a little text chat going on over here, and Charles Mo has reminded us that he joined us on a Wild and Wacky Wednesday from a fishing boat in Alaska last
Which
year.
in and of itself was pretty wild and wacky, actually. And I think we had a better hookup for that than we have today. But yeah.
Signal's strong in Alaska. And
way up right across the bay from Homer, I tell you what. Yeah. Must be the mountains and glaciers.
Now, is that where you're from, Charles Homer?
Across the bay, actually. It's a place called Seldovia.
Seldovia.
But
Okay.
Homer's the entry point.
The reason I ask is because Jody and I were sitting here one night, a couple of nights ago, and a friend of hers was driving up to Alaska from Wisconsin, and she's like, can you drive to Alaska? I'm like, well, yeah, you just got to go through Canada, but yeah, it's doable. But she was asking me where you were from, and I should have known, but I couldn't remember. Seldovia.
Yep. Homer's actually the end of the line. That's the end of Alaska Interstate 1. So if you did drive, you'd get to the end of the Homer Spit and you'd got to turn around.
That's as far as you can go, huh?
That's as far as you can go on the southern side. Yeah.
Wow. I will pass that along, or I'll just make her listen to the podcast, one or the other. We'll have at least one listener. Hey, so it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday. We're missing our wackiest guy this side of the Duck River, but we're going to try to soldier on, and we're going to lead it off with a story that may not be all that wacky, but is pretty wild, and we're hearing it way too often, I guess. But up in New Jersey recently, a youth baseball umpire was brutally attacked by a coach during a game, leaving the 72-year-old umpire with a broken jaw that required extensive dental surgery.
Ouch.
Yeah, like I said, not terribly wacky, but definitely wild. Guy had to his jaw was fractured in 2 places and had to be wired shut. Apparently a coach had argued a call, been ejected, came back, punched this guy, and then ran off. And again, it's getting crazy out here with these youth league baseball games. The administrator for that league says the environment for youth sports has become toxic. No one can lose a game anymore without blaming somebody else. We need to teach our kids that they're not going to win every game they play, and how to lose with respect for both their opponents as well as the officials on the game. So never a dull moment at these youth sports games, y'all. Be careful.
It's interesting, the dichotomy there of a generation now of everybody gets a trophy, and I wonder how much that has led into this not learning how to lose. Maybe I don't know. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day.
It really is.
It's its own wild and wacky, but that's intriguing.
A little wilder, a little wackier. In Cincinnati, a young lady was fired from her job at Little Caesars Pizza. Wanted her job back. Pizza. Hey, the new official pizza of the NFL, by the way.
Oh, hey.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Little Caesars.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. After a week of being unemployed, she decided to speak with the manager about being rehired. Returned to the business, requested her job back, was told she would not be rehired, began fighting with the store manager in the parking lot, pulled out a gun and shot the manager in the leg.
Oh, no.
In the leg?
So she wanted this job back pretty badly. I'm pretty sure her chances have been shot too. Well, anyway. I don't think she's getting her job back. I could be wrong. I don't know what kind of workforce there is for Little Caesars in Cincinnati, but
that's tough.
Anyway,
that's tough. All right. You had a third, Mo, but it became debunked, right?
Yeah. So
I've
fire
got one
away.
to fill in. I've got one to fill in. We'll go Dateline, Fort Walton Beach, Florida. You gotta have.
Is this a Florida man?
It's a Florida man or Florida woman. We're not real sure.
Okay.
But there's a traffic light down in the Panhandle. This is courtesy of Fox 13 down in Northwest Florida. The Fort Walton Police Department recently posted an image of an unusual sight with a caption reading, "Are you kidding me, Thursday?" So there's a crosswalk, and the post that holds the lights, the image push button to cross. Well, somebody has retrofitted that for a standard 3-prong outlet to charge your phone while you're sitting there waiting to cross the street.
So helpful.
Yeah, no kidding. Unfortunately, manipulating things of that nature are, is a federal offense. So, the
Who knew?
The police department down there says that while they're impressed with the ingenuity of said retrofitting, they suggest that this person use their talents and skills for more positive things. So there you go.
That's pretty positive.
Could be, yeah. They have since replaced it, and this was a story that Captain Chaos found before he left. Otherwise, might have thought that this could have been him, because he would have been rolling through there at some point on his trip this week. I got one more since we got a couple of minutes. We'll go Dateline New York. Mo, what would you do if you're sitting down in a bar or restaurant and you look down in the corner and there's a live possum roaming around? I'm sure Charles wouldn't have any issue with it.
Charles probably wouldn't have an issue.
Yeah.
I would probably get up and leave.
Yeah,
I think you're saying me because maybe this was an Alaskan involved with this.
Well, it's interesting. This is strictly coincidental, but the story out of New York, a Brooklyn bar, and this lady just picked up the possum calmly and walked out and took care of it and let it go, and it was no problem. There's video of it. It's fascinating, and she does it nonchalantly. And her quote when asked, about doing this, she said, "I'm from Alaska, and I used to go camping with black bears hanging out at my campsite." She said, this is nothing compared to moose and other types of things. So yeah, Alaska in New York just picks up a possum by the back of the neck and carries it out of the Brooklyn bar.
Are there possums in Alaska, Charles?
No, but I mean, anything smaller than a bear, you just handle.
That's what she's saying. That's exactly what she's saying. Is that this is nothing. If I can just pick it up, hey, just pick it up and go.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Come on, I'm from Alaska.
That reminds me of the guy. Was it at the Texas A&M game or the Arkansas game that picked up an animal like that and just took it out the stadium?
Yeah. Super helpful.
An armadillo,
right?
I think. Wasn't it?
We need more Alaskans around.
That's right. Yeah.
You can never have enough Alaskans around, especially Charles Pulliam of the Williamson Herald, today's special guest host here on Main Street Sports Today. Charles, really appreciate you giving us your afternoon and regaling us with your CMA Fest stories and the like. And I'm sure we'll be catching up with you soon.
Yeah,
Charles.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, on tomorrow's edition, we have Teresa Walker of the Associated Press sitting in for Chris Yao. We will also have with us Vanderbilt Athletics Director Candace Lee. So got some good stuff to talk to her about. And it's Coach's Corner because it's Thursday. And between now and then, we'll come up with a coach.
We'll find us a coach.
Yeah. So thanks for hanging out with us here on Main Street Sports Today. Be sure and come back with us tomorrow starting at 2, and we'll see you then. Again, Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint.